taking a little road trip today, a little detour, and I'm not driving to the gym, but this drive made me think about a cool idea to talk about, which maybe doesn't fit on a drive to class, but fits in that fitness space in general, which is travel workouts. And I've been pretty fortunate over the last, more than a decade of my life to travel. Not so much anymore, but I traveled pretty frequently, got to go to a lot of cool places, pretty much all over the world except Antarctica. We are going to change that, and do so while teaching CrossFit, which was also awesome. And I got to always be pretty close to a gym, which made the traveling and the working out pretty easy. But and I always had people around me who wanted to work out, and that made staying into the habit pretty easy. But when you're traveling a lot, you're jet lagged, you don't always feel great, you're stiff from sitting in a plane or traveling a whole bunch or driving really long way. So it's not always, not like a kind of a first world problem, but not always feeling the best to work out or motivated to do it. But I think one of the things that creates the discipline around it, and this is probably the first big lesson I've learned of travel workouts, is do the imperfect thing, and it builds to the better thing, and it builds to the bigger thing. And it just kind of, in some ways, got me addicted to the habit of working out. You get somewhere new, you do a quick workout, and then you settle into your hotel room or whatever. And so that was kind of the first lesson, is doing the imperfect thing. So when you're traveling, and even if you're someone who travels a lot for work, it's okay, I think, and start wrapping your mind around this, that you don't have to win all of your fitness, get all of your fitness with your travel workouts. Your travel workouts are there to do something a little bit different. Yes, they still can get you fitter, and we'll talk about that. But I think travel workouts are really about, one, acclimating you to travel better, keeping you healthy while you travel, and keeping you on a routine and schedule while you travel. When I used to travel a lot, I always used to joke that calories don't count in an airport. I love snacky junk food. I generally try to avoid it because I know I love it. So when I'm in an airport, it's kind of like, ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. There's just a lot of convenience food. It's not all the most healthful food. It's fun to kind of just fall into the, I don't know, what would you call it? Victim of circumstance, I guess you could call it. But you are exactly that. You choose to be one, and you're like, well, I'll just eat this crappy thing. I'm in an airport, I'm traveling, I don't have any other better choices. It's easy to fall into that kind of stuff. I totally get it. I've been there. So I don't necessarily blame people for it, but there are a lot of ways around it. And I do think when you travel, getting an exercise and staying on that routine, especially if you are someone who does it, helps you avoid all that other stuff because it just keeps you on that more healthful routine. Not saying you can't take a day off, but I'll say that I always feel a lot better and happier when I do. And even sometimes if I feel obligated to work out, and that's annoying because people will be like, oh, can't you just take a day off? And, you're traveling, blah, blah, blah. And the truth is, I almost always feel better when I do something fitness related. I can't really think of many times where I have not wanted to work out while traveling, and I've just said, you know what, I'm just going to move, or I'm just going to do something, some air squats. And then afterwards, I'm like, so glad I did that. I feel a million times better. So that's the first lesson. Doing something is better than nothing. And the second lesson that comes off of that is the travel workout is less about moving your fitness forward. It's more about making you more acclimated to travel and just helping you mentally feel better with travel. So the meat and potatoes of this. The third lesson of travel workouts is redundancy is okay. We'll talk about that in a second. And then I think the fourth big lesson there is do things that you don't normally do. And that's also okay. Okay, so the redundancy thing. Yeah, there are lots of creative ways while you're traveling to make sure you're not doing the same movements over and over again, and maybe use odd objects like your backpack or something to avoid similar movement patterns. So, for example, with travel workouts, it's really easy to be like, I'm going to run, squat, lunge, jump, all very similar body parts used, though the movement patterns and how dynamic they are kind of change. Also, it's like, oh, I could burpee, I could push up. You get really wild and do handstand push-ups against the wall in your hotel room. Or I could do something like a sit-up or a plank or like an L-sit or something like that. So you see you're kind of limited to basically body weight stuff. You're kind of limited to a handful, like basically 3 or 4 movement patterns. And that's okay. The other thing I kind of let go of with travel workouts is like, it didn't always have to be like the craziest reinventing of the wheel. For example, it's like, yes, you can do handstand push-ups against the hotel wall or find a place to do them, but is there other stuff that I could do? Do I really need to do the handstand push-ups? So that was something I let go of as well. Okay, so redundancy is okay, and doing stuff that you don't normally do is okay. So I don't normally do a lot of body weight workouts. I don't normally, well, this has changed now, but in the past, I didn't normally run a lot. And then, it's okay accepting the things like, do you really have to do these other things? So some workouts that I've really liked while traveling. One of the simplest ones I did, I called it the hotel test. And this one actually did have handstand push-ups in it, but it was a 10-minute AMRAP, and you do 10 handstand push-ups, 10 push-ups, 10 burpees. It was really cool. It was really hard at first. It was also really cool to see how much better I got at these things. And like I said, destroying hotel room walls, you could kick your shoes off so only your socks go up and down the wall. But I didn't want to like rearrange the room, make a mess. This really just turned into me doing 10 minutes of 10 push-ups and 10 burpees. One of my favorite tests. Another one of my favorite tests was really similar. It was an AMRAP, 10 minutes of 20 air squats, 20 lunges, and then 20 single leg squats. You can do them to a bench or to a chair, and you can do them alternating. Now, obviously, if you cannot do the single leg squats, you can cut this down to the 20 air squats, 20 lunges. Now, why do I like these workouts that have this like significant movement redundancy? One of the reasons I like them is, for me, I like the feeling of them simulating what it would be like to actually lift weights. Because it left the legs pretty sore, or left the upper body pretty sore, because you're always doing the same movement pattern. So I thought that was really good. Those were workouts that I would oscillate pretty frequently. Another option that I really, really liked was just high volumes of a single movement. So, for example, some of the ones that I've done a lot of is 150 burpees for time or 100 burpees for time. I cannot count how many times I've done those on traveling. The other reason I like the 100 or 150, it was one of those things you could get off the plane, make it to your hotel or wherever you're staying, and you just, if you lay down a towel if you want to, or you go to the hotel gym. A lot of these I did in my hotel room because I wanted to not have any more barriers or excuses to avoid doing something. So, it's easy to fall into that trap of like, oh, I got off the plane, I get to my hotel room, just gonna crash because I don't feel ready to go down to the hotel gym, or I have to change to go to the hotel gym, blah, blah, blah. You literally walk in the door, take your backpack off, keep your shoes on, kick them off, whatever you want to do, throw a towel down, start doing burpees. The 100, 150, it's nice because it's long enough so you get warmed up after a couple. You can really stomp on the intensity, get a nice sweat in, challenge yourself, try and push the pace. It was also really cool to see how fast I could get at these specific things. They were really easy benchmarks for me. Okay, so we have the 10-minute push-up burpee test, the 10-minute squat, alternating lunge, single leg squat test, and then something really straightforward like 100 burpees, 150 or 150 burpees for time. Another one I did pretty often was somewhere in the realm of just straight up 300 to 500 air squats for time. You kind of see the pattern here. You're just kind of giving yourself, and these are things why I like them also, is you don't really normally do those a lot in the gym because you have so many fancy other tools to work with. You can do cleans and muscle ups. So when you can do those things, who the hell wants to do 500 air squats? Nobody. But that's a really useful training tool when you're traveling. And again, it doesn't take a ton of warm up for these things. It will improve your body weight ability. And you'll probably, if you do these things regularly, if you travel a lot, you'll probably start to see carryover to your in-gym work and your weighted work. Now, as time went on, the 150 burpees or just the super high volume air squats was something that became, I don't want to say a little less interesting, but I hit sort of plateaus at them. So one of the things that I really like to do now is basically mix the two together. So for example, one of my favorite structures is I'm going to do 150 burpees for time. Every minute on the minute, I will do 10 air squats before I go back to the burpees. I absolutely love this structure. My advice to anyone trying this structure would be to time cap it at first. I have had some of these that I've created run so far off the rails where it was to the point where I'd be just barely getting in a couple burpees, and it would basically turn out I was just doing air squats for 15 minutes, which is also okay. It's good to learn, see where you're weak, have the mental challenges. Also, not everyone always has like a watch handy or like a timer handy to keep track of this kind of stuff, or doesn't want to. So there's that hurdle too. Super solvable, but something to consider if you are already struggling to just get yourself going. So that's one of my favorites. You can kind of choose 100 or 150 burpees for time. Every minute on the minute, you're gonna do 10 air squats. Now, if you're looking for some guidance on this one, you want to make sure you cut the air squats down, where you can always get them done in under 30 seconds, so you have plenty of burpee time. Now, the flip side of this one is the exact same workout, but opposite. You're going to do somewhere in the range of 150 to 200 air squats, and then every minute on the minute, you're going to do 10 burpees. Now, I've done these versions where I've had to scale the burpees down for whatever reason. The same rule kind of applies, is if this is something you want to hit, then you want to make sure that you can basically have a burpee number that you're finishing in about 30 seconds or less. So you have about 30 seconds to air squat. There's some transition time. There's some feel sorry for yourself time that adds up in there. So just stuff to keep track of. All right. So this is some of the ones I really like. If you have the ability to run, I think running is a fantastic one, unless you're already an avid runner. Like if you're what I call a pretty classic CrossFitter, I think basic CrossFitter would be right. And I don't mean basic as in like rudimentary or novice. I mean basic as in the same like, hey, you're the CrossFitter version of like pumpkin spice latte, Ugg boots, and North Face zip ups. I'm kind of dating myself there with that reference. But my buddy's, how old is she? I don't know, somewhere between 9 and 11, maybe a little older now. But one day we were all hanging out with my buddy. His daughter was there, and we were going to order Starbucks, and I said I wanted cold brew, and she told me I was basic. Which I actually felt like was a compliment. But a basic CrossFitter is a CrossFitter who like only runs when it shows up in a workout, and it doesn't show up that often. So if you're that person, you're not like an avid runner, I think running when you're traveling, especially if you have the ability to do it, is fantastic. If you feel safe, if the location is right, you kind of know where you're going. Running for any time domain, any distance is an excellent travel workout. You get to see the space where you're at. Not everyone likes that as much as I do. Get you outside. I realize that's not always reasonable everywhere you travel. If you're somewhere that has telephone poles, one of my favorite little events is you sprint from a telephone pole to a telephone pole, you walk to the next telephone pole, you sprint to the next telephone pole, you walk to the next telephone pole, and you can do this for 20 minutes. I think is a really good time domain, which also leads me to maybe my last piece of advice. As far as travel workouts is, I think 15 to 20 minutes is the perfect time for travel workouts. 20 minutes is like right on the nose, and the reason it is because it allows you to use the workout as the warm-up. A couple minutes of the workout as a warm-up, you can get into intensity, and then you have something long enough where you do feel like really good and accomplished. Not saying shorter stuff can't make you feel that way, but if you've traveled a lot and you've done this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You want to kind of just like sweat the freaking travel out, which is important. You'll notice that I didn't really touch on, every permutation and combination. Those were just like a handful of things I did really, really regularly as I was traveling. The one last one I might add on there is I was always pretty bad at push-ups, And so one of the rules I made for myself for a while was every time I stepped into the hotel room, I did Tabata push-ups. For anyone who doesn't know, Tabata protocol is basically you'll do 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest, and you repeat that for 8 sets. So I'd get into the hotel room from travel, drop down, Tabata push-ups. You'd come back to the hotel room again throughout the trip, Tabata push-ups. Now, if you're like coming back and forth to your room like multiple times when you're traveling, maybe just do it eat once each day you're traveling. What's cool about it is it really helps you hammer weaknesses. And it also is just a great way to get something very simple and low barrier to entry that is challenging. So you could do this with push-ups, sit-ups, or air squats. Now, obviously what's on the table is still all of the more complex stuff. Could you do a chipper of 100 air squats, 80 sit-ups, 60 push-ups, 40 burpees, 20 lunges? Yeah, that stuff is certainly on the table, but these are a handful of ones I really like because, like I said, one of the goals, I think, if you're someone who, this is really for someone who travels and is having a hard time staying on a routine with working out, I'm just trying to give you a handful of things where you can just like get into the room, or if you do, go to your hotel gym and just start moving. If I had to pick one, aside from just the 100 or 150 burpees for time, or the 300 to 500 air squats for time, if I had to pick one structure I like the most, the structure I really like the most is the idea of setting a certain rep goal on something, so 100 burpees for time, and then, or whatever the movement is, 100 reps of a movement for time, and then every minute on the minute doing something like burpees or air squats. I think burpees is like the really good option to have as the on the minute. This one is also really good if you step into a hotel gym and you're like, I have no idea what to do. Great, grab some dumbbells. You're gonna do 100 dumbbell squat cleans for time. Every minute on the minute, you're gonna do 5 to 10 burpees. Mix and match these movements as you want. Like I said, that structure is absolutely devastating. You will make structures where you run off the rails and you're totally screwed. So I time cap this one probably somewhere around the 15-minute mark, just to keep you from absolutely ruining yourself. And you'll learn from there, and you'll adjust. So those are just some thoughts on travel workouts. I've had some really great travel workouts. One of the other things I really like about the travel workout is it gets me doing body weight movements in spades and running a lot more, which I don't always do, though I do run a lot more now in my training than I ever have, and I really enjoy it. So if you're someone who's like, I don't want to bring a band with me or bring jump ropes with me, embrace the redundancy. Do the simplest thing. Last in that 10 to 20 minute range, and have some fun. I just keep doing it, even if it's not perfect, and even if you don't have the most time for it. In my experience, I've always felt better doing something than not doing anything at all. All right, so there's a little couple thoughts on travel workouts. I'll put the separate workouts in the show notes, and hopefully this helps you on the road get your mind right and just stay on a good habit. All right, talk to you soon.